Alright guys, in this video we're going to be continuing talking about laws of exponents, but this time instead of talking about multiplying, we're going to be dividing. It's actually really just the opposite of what would be with multiplication. So what you're going to find with dividing exponents is instead of adding them like we did with multiplication, we're going to be subtracting them. Keep in mind though, with exponents, again, if I have x to the fourth, I'm representing the variable x being multiplied by itself 4 times, okay? So keeping that in mind, let's begin with our first example. So for my first example, I have x to the 8th over x to the 4th. Now, again, in a long extended kind of expanded form, what this is really telling us is that we're going to take x times 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 x and divide it by x times x times x times x. Now remember, with rational expressions, if we have the opportunity to reduce or cancel things, we want to definitely take advantage of that. So we can definitely cancel out some x's here. In fact, we can cancel out 4 of them. Okay. So what do we have left after that's done? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So that gives us, we should do that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's left. So that gives us x to the 4th. Now, what did we really do here? We have x to the 4th. Notice that we took the difference of the numerator's exponent and subtracted the denominator exponent. Okay? And that's the rule for dividing exponents. We're going to say that x to the a divided by x to the b, where a and b are just numbers or exponents, is equal to x to the a minus b. Okay? So we have x to the 4th as our final answer. Because what it is x to the 8th over x to the 4th is the same as saying x to the 8th minus 4. X to the 4th. Let's look at another example. Example 2, I have 18x cubed y to the 4th over 2x y squared. Now again, keep things easy for yourself. In this case, we don't have to put a 1 anywhere because of the fact that we have two coefficients that are greater than 1 already represented in front of the variables. But also, go ahead and put a 1 exponent here. Remember, if a variable doesn't have an exponent, go ahead and put a 1 there, just to keep things easy and clean and organized. So again, with our steps, we'll do the whole numbers first. 18 divided by 2 equals 9. X cubed divided by x to the 1st. So again, x cubed over x to the 1. We're just going to take the difference of the exponents. So we have x to the cube minus 1 equals x to the square. Okay? And then we have y to the 4th over y squared equals y to the 4 minus 2y squared. Again, remember, we're just subtracting the exponents. So 3 minus 1 and 4 minus 2. Okay? And our final answer is going to be 9x squared y squared. Okay? Let's look at another example. Now again, up to this point we haven't come across any negative exponents, but again, you are definitely going to be seeing them. So let's do a couple examples with negative exponents. So a third example, we have 3x to the 6th, y to the 4th, z over x cubed y to the negative 6th z squared. Okay. Now again, don't let this intimidate you. Don't let negative exponents intimidate you. Focus on each part separately. Again, first things first, go ahead and put a 1 here. Make things easy and put a 1 to tackle your whole numbers. So starting with our whole numbers, we're going to do 3 divided by 1, which is 3. Tackle each variable separately. We have x to the 6th divided by x cubed. Now remember, we're just subtracting the exponents, so 6 minus 3. So x to the 6th minus 3 equals x cubed. Now for the y's. Be very careful and keep track of your signs. This is a positive 4 subtracting a negative 6, because we're going to be subtracting the exponents. So we have y to the 4, positive 4, over y to the negative 6. We have y to the positive 4 minus a negative 6. 4 minus a negative 6 is y to the 10th. Okay, be very careful with that. Okay. Now, with our other one, it's a little different. We have z to the 1. Okay, remember, go ahead and put that 1 there if it makes things easier. We have z to the 1 divided by z squared. So it's going to be z to the 1 over z squared equals z to the 1 minus 2. That's going to give us a negative 1. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what do I do with a negative 1 as an answer? Well, think about it. We did the numerator minus the denominator. So this z minus 1 is going to be in our numerator. But the way that standardized tests and assignments are done is their answers are not going to give you negative exponents. So what you have to do is a little problem solving and critical thinking. If we have z of negative 1, think about that as itself over 1. Now, z to the negative 1 in the numerator over 1 is equal to 1 over z to the positive 1 in your denominator. Okay? So we try to avoid negative exponents in our answers as much as possible by making them positive. So if it's negative in your numerator, it's going to be positive in your denominator. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Because in this, for example, we have 2 z's on the bottom and 1 in the top. If we take out as many as we can without going over from each, and we took out a z from each of them, leaving us 1 in the top, how many z's do we have left over? We have 1. So if I took out this and made it 0, this and made it 1, I have 1 left. Makes sense. Okay? So now, putting everything together. And it kind of works the same too for any of these other variables. If I have 6 in the top and 3 in the bottom, if I take out as many as I can, I'll take out 3 from the top and bottom, and I won't have any left in the bottom, but I'll have 3 left in the top. Alright, so putting our final answer together, we're going to have 3, we have x cubed, we have y to the positive 10, and we have z to the first. And then again, for your final answer, just make sure, go ahead and get rid of the, to kind of simplify it, because it is inferred, it's to its first power. Okay, let's look at one last example. I have example number 4. So I have 14 x to the 4th, y to the negative 5, z over 2 x cubed, y to the negative 7, z to the negative cube. Now, again, as ugly as this looks, just break it apart. Make it easy for yourself. First things first, again, these coefficients are greater than 1. Don't have to worry about that. Again, go ahead and put a 1 exponent on any of your uninferred 1 power exponents. Break it apart. Start with the whole numbers. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Tackle each variable at a time. X to the 4th divided by x cubed is x to the 4th minus 3 equals x to the 1. Now, be careful. Again, this is negative exponents. Just keep your signs there. Y to the negative 5th over y to the negative 7 is y to the negative 5th minus a negative 7. Negative 5 minus a negative 7 is positive 2. Okay, so we have negative 5 minus a negative 7. When we subtract a negative, it's like adding a positive, so it's like adding 7. Now, z, same thing, so z to the 1 over z to the negative 3 is z to the 1 minus a negative 3. Subtracting a negative is like adding a positive, so 1 plus 3, this is going to be z to the negative, it's the positive 4. Okay, now we have all our pieces. Let's go ahead and put everything in. So we have, we have 7 x y squared z to the 4th. Okay, and again, this is just putting together the rules of dividing exponents. Start with your whole numbers. If there isn't a coefficient, go ahead and put a 1 for housekeeping purposes. And subtracting the exponents. That's all we're doing here, okay? And remember, with your negatives, keep your signs there. If it helps, put parentheses around them when you're doing the subtraction. That way you know it's a negative. Because when you're subtracting a negative, it's like adding a positive, okay? But these are the examples I wanted to go over with you guys. Again, if you have any questions, please never hesitate to contact me. I'd be more than happy to do more examples. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, contact me with any questions. Thanks for watching.